Thank you, Des. Oh, we need back here too. Take a coin. Cards and a coin.
You can teach us how to count cards and big.
If I knew how to do it, I would. I don't.
Darn it.
No. But you should read the book Bringing Down the House, which is the book the movie 21 is based on. They do give you a nice breakdown of counting cards for blackjack. There, here you go, Chuck.
MIT kids.
The MIT kids, yes. And it's pretty awesome, actually. It's not much to it. As an ADD dude, there's no way I could count cards. There's too much going on in the casino that would take my attention away from the cards themselves. I'd be miserable at it. So, we're going to talk about the behavior of cards, though. That's what I want to look at today, is the behavior of how a normal deck of cards works. So, at any rate, I want to wrap up where we just were and tie it into where we're going next. So, this is a cone. Imagine an ice cream cone turned upside down, or a dunce cap, or anything else that looks like a cone. In geometry, there are a number of things called conic sections, which is what happens when you take a cone and you slice it with like a circular saw. So if you cut a cone parallel to the base, you get what's called a circle, which you guys do that. If you tilt the saw and cut it not parallel to the base, but also not intersecting the base, you get what's called an ellipse. These are super fun. Have you guys ever had to cut, I've left this out of 105, but I'll mention it. Have you guys ever had to cut the top of a door for a fence? So if you look around Ben loves their fences, I've noticed. First thing my neighbors did when I moved into Ben was put 3 fences up on the 3 sides of my houses that faces them. And that kind of bummed me out. Being from the East Coast, we don't have fences. We like to kind of wander in and out of our neighbors' yards, because here we are. And the first thing my neighbors did, "Hi, Sean!" Nice to see you there. So eventually I finished off the fences on my 4th side facing the street, and I put doors on both. I put 2 swinging doors on my driveway side and a single door on the other side. And I wanted to make a curvy top on the fence. And an ellipse is a really good way of doing it, because what a lot of people do is they put a circle on the top of that door. So what they'll do, shut this down for a second. What they'll do is they'll have a deck, or not a deck, a fence. So it's kind of like this. And then they put a door here, and to make it look kind of decorative, they'll put a curve on the door. You've seen this. Some of your houses might even have that, I'm guessing. Right. The thing I don't like about putting a circle on the top of the door, it's so curvy. It's such a big arch. So what I did on ours was I let the door go higher and put a less extreme curve on it. And to do that, you use an ellipse. An ellipse is basically a squashed circle. Imagine a circle, and then push it like this, and it kind of squirts out, and you get, people call it an oval. I think it's another, like a conversational term for it. Amy, what you got?
Well, I was going to tell you, it's an interesting fact with medicine. If we're cutting like a circular mole off, we always take an ellipse.
Really?
Because when you stitch it together, you don't get bumps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's slick.
Flat.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Even if the mole itself is circular.
Right.
Which it usually is, I'm
we cut
guessing.
an ellipse so that the edges,
Does that leave some of it behind?
it leaves a nice flat scar.
Oh, badass.
Take it a little more. Yeah.
Less curvature. That makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
that's what I was thinking.
That makes perfect sense. Less curvature. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. I hadn't thought about that.
Because people will complain, why is the scar a little longer? But it's flatter.
You're welcome for removing the cancerous growth from your body.
But it's flatter
So you should
because
tell
you took an ellipse.
That's very cool. Some human topology on top of the. Oh, that's good. I like that a lot. Thank you. Thank you for. I did not know that. Ellipses are wonderful things. They're wonderful things. Anybody ever been to what's called the Whispering Hall in D.C.? It's shaped like an ellipse. So the roof is, anyway. It's a 3-dimensional ellipse. And what's cool about it, is one in New York City as well? There's probably one in many cities. There's a bench in Philly like this.
It's in Grand Central Station.
Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
So you've been there.
Or you can whisper into the wall and you'll hear it on the exact other side.
So ellipses have these things called foci or foci. So if you draw an ellipse like this, it's got 2 points. And the way you draw an ellipse, this is what I had to use for my fence, you take a long length of string that's bigger than this distance, and you take a pencil, and you actually stick the pencil up into the string like this, and then just try to draw a circle. And what happens is you don't get a circle, you get an ellipse. You get the ellipse that way. You would get a circle if these 2 focus points were the same point. That's how you get a circle. But when you move those points away from each other, you get an ellipse. And that's how you actually have to draw one. You pick the foci, and then you make the string length. You can all, this mathematics that bases all this stuff. It's super fun. I used to do it, I used to think about doing it in 105, but I don't think you guys like the math very much. It's pretty intense. It's fun. I'm a geek, I love it. But it's one of those things, like, if you ever need to do it, just email me, I'll come to your house and help you do it. Yeah?
An ellipse and an ovoid, they're actually different shapes.
They are!
Yeah.
What's an oval? I don't know this.
It's an egg shaped, where the top is
Not symmetric.
Yeah.
So an egg is an oval, and an ellipse is an ellipse. We'll just stop calling it an oval then. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Good. So, yeah, I'm just gonna stop that. Because they're all like diamond. I used to think a diamond was the same as a rhombus, which is a square squished, 4 equal sides, but not a square, not right-angled squares. But apparently a diamond is like a kite. But I thought a kite was a kite, not a diamond, which I thought was a rhombus. See, this is where language gets in the way. But thank you. Didn't know that. So anyway, why did I tell you all this? Well, basically to tell you if you ever need to cut an ellipse in your fence, just email me and I'll help you. Anyway, back to this. If you swing the saw all the way to vertical and cut down, you get what's called a hyperbola, which, anybody ever studied a hyperbola before? I'm guessing you did. Oh, you did. Sure, you did. Actually, you may have. Yes, good. Oh, you took 111. Of course you did. Yes, hyperbolas are all over those functions. Yes, yes. And then last but not least, if you have the saw somewhere between horizontal and vertical, but it allows to cut the bottom of the cone, you get what's called a parabola. Now that you know. That you know already. We've been talking about that for a couple days now. That was the whole point of the bike problem. FYI, I found the problem. Let me pause this for a second. I found the problem with the damn bike. Remember the issue? You can say no because you don't. Last week, you guys were working on that awesome in-class quiz. You all got 10s on it. You all got 10s on it because the TI actually had an issue that I didn't realize until later. I want to show you what it is. So what I had you doing last week was trying to figure out how fast I was going at the 200-foot mark. And you guys were doing this awesome quiz, and you're crunching along, and you're like, oh, right here he's going 18 miles an hour, and here he's going 20 miles an hour, and here he's going 21, he's getting faster. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, he's going 12 miles an hour. Oh, wait, he's going 6 miles an hour. And I'm looking, what the hell? I should be going faster, not slower, and I realized the problem. So let me explain the problem through the solution as I found the problem. I put the data back into Excel. Here's your same data you guys were playing with. Okay, this is, if you like Usain Bolt, we're going to use this to analyze Bolt's speed too. So I have all the distances in here. Now what I did was I set up a spreadsheet to mark this, which is my average rate of change, from whatever points you want to find the average rate of change from. So for example, you guys calculated, I was going about, let me round this down. Ooh, that's up. You guys calculated I was going about 14 miles an hour. Average. From the time I started at the top of the hill to the time I crossed the 200-foot marker. 14 miles an hour, average rate of change. But my question wasn't, what did I average for the whole trip? My question was,
How fast were you going at 200?
thank you, Christy. How fast was I going when I went by Brittany's group at 200? So in class, what we started doing was we started taking this point and sliding it up this curve and watching what happened to that line. Remember doing this? Now we did a couple of them together. I believe the first one we did was we went from 2 seconds, there, and then you guys figured out I was going about 17 miles an hour on average from 2 until the end. From 2 until the end. And then we went 5, I think it was 5 till the end, yes? Now notice what's happening to that red line, friends. What is happening to that red line?
Getting closer to the blue line.
Oh, that's a very good answer. Oh, I wasn't thinking of that answer, but it's a very, very good one. It's getting closer to the blue curve, which means even though that's a parabolic curve, I can look at a small enough chunk of it and it looks like a line. Excellent answer. I was looking for a more general answer. What's happening to the red line as I slide this point that way? It's getting steeper. Well, it's getting smaller. It's also getting steeper. That's what I was looking for. But yes, it is looking more and more. Very good. Let's keep sliding. Now this is where your quiz started picking up. Your quiz started picking up here. So I had you guys go something like, I think it was like 7.6 seconds to 9.6. And at that point I was going 25 miles an hour. But that's still an average over those 2 seconds, right? Over those 2 seconds. Watch that red line. It's really tucking into that curve nice, isn't it? Now watch my average rate of speed that's right here. Make this bigger so you can see it. Why can't you see that? There we go. It's creeping up, but it's not getting bigger much faster. It was getting much bigger, much faster in the beginning. Yes, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now it's starting to slow down as we get closer because the incremental changes aren't quite as extreme. Oh, I went past it, sorry. So if I put the 9.68 right on the 9.7, how fast was I going when I passed the 200-foot mark? Roughly 29 miles an hour. This is why I got nervous, because the damn cars were coming out below me, and I had to make sure I stopped in control. So did anybody guess when I said how fast was I going? You guys were doing it. Did anybody guess 29? Was that one of the guesses? Somebody guessed like 12 or 13. Break. You can see though why now you have runaway truck ramps on roads. If I can hit 29 on a bike over 200 feet, what can a semi do over 6 miles carrying a load behind him or her? You see? That's why you have the runaway truck ramps, because gravity wins. Gravity always wins, like always. So you have to realize that. So I was going about 29 miles an hour. So what we'll do is we're going to analyze Usain Bolt in the same way using Excel. We'll have a similar setup like this in Excel. Look at my average rate of change line. What is it?
It's a dot.
It's a dot! That's the point. It's no longer what's called an average rate of change. It is now an
instantaneous speed.
Instantaneous speed at that moment. What your speedometer shows you in your car is your instantaneous speed, instantaneous rate of change in your car. That's how it knows. Well, actually it knows because your wheel is spinning. But this is also what the cop and the hairdryer are doing. Now, technically speaking, it's not really instantaneous. It's microsecond instantaneous, which means when the cop does this, the gun goes, and that's even too slow. Milliseconds. That's why you always have to ask if you get busted, you know you weren't speeding. When was the last time your gun calibrated? When was the last time you had your gun calibrated? Because if that isn't calibrated right, it's going to give you a false speed. Is that fair enough? Although I think we're getting to the day where it's not going to be worth arguing because the cars themselves are going to be tracking every computerized part of... Anyway,
One
sorry.
car company just started putting Wi-Fi in the cars now.
Is that for positioning?
No, just Wi-Fi.
Oh, just so you can watch YouTube while you're driving? That's good. That shouldn't have any effect on the accident rate in America.
Call of Duty online with your friends while you're driving.
Yes, it's very, very good. I am very nervous about America and the distraction level of drivers in this country. I'm convinced that COCC students' cars will not start unless their phone is in their hand. I'm almost positive. As a bike commuter, I notice this all the time. It scares the ever-living piss out of me. I've seen so many people going down that same hill that I was on,
Texting? Oh,
or looking. I mean, that's the thing, texting or looking or both. It just, I don't know, I'm so vulnerable out there as a bike commuter. And not that you guys are that much less vulnerable in a car. I mean, a lot can happen. Today I was driving to the pool. One more anecdote and then we'll get back into math. I go to the pool at 5 in the morning. So I'm riding, got my headlights on, I got a blinky red light, blinky white light, 1,000 lumen headlights, so I can see where I'm going. Come down 8th Street, and right at 8th Street, there's a gas station on the right side here. But it's a card lock gas station. It's not like an Exxon. It's something you have to have a membership to or something like that. So it's usually empty because of that. So I come down to 8th Street, and there's a red light, so I stop, look, and I pull around to the right. Now, as I'm coming around, I see headlights bearing down on me through the gas station. And I had enough time to realize what would happen. Somebody didn't want to stop at the red light and was cutting through the gas station to get onto Greenwood. Problem was, biker in the middle of the... Now, granted, I also have 2 wheels with reflective strips on them, so I'm pretty visible. And he saw me at the last minute and pulled away. And I screamed a slew of expletives, and he took off. And I saw him going up there, and I saw him turn on the 6th Street. I'm like, oh, it's 6th Street. I got this kid. It's where I'm going. I'm going to the pool, too. So is he. So I crank up, and I get pissed. I'm Italian. He's cursed. So I crank, and I pull into 6th Street, and I see him at the stop. And now he stops at the stop sign. I'm like, now you stop. You son of a-" So he pulls up. I see him pull into a parking lot. I'm like, got him. So I just shine my headlight into his truck. And I sit there, and he's kind of looking at us, and he takes his coffee, and he drinks it like this little kid. He's like probably 16 years old. And he's drinking his coffee. And I just stood there for like a minute with my headlight shining on him. And then I popped it off, walk up. It's like, was that you through the gas station? He's like, yeah. I'm like, never do that again. And he's like, oh, okay. And then I walked over. Hopefully. Because the thing is, that only happens 1 in 200 rides. I'm a very safe dude. Most drivers are very good. But 1 in 200 is all it takes to end my life, right? That's all it takes, Des. Yeah.
So my father-in-law
Oh, God.
got hit last year in Craneville. He's like a long distance rider. He loves doing like those, I don't know what you call them, the like bike marathons or whatever.
Insanity. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
They're
and so
wonderful, I think, too.
he's been working at Les Schwab for like 30 years and rides his bike every day, and this guy was texting and he hit him and he broke his back and he can't ride anymore, so.
And that's the thing is,
Yeah, and
you just said 30 years, right? 30 years of riding a bike.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the one time something goes wrong, it can go so wrong.
Yeah, it broke his back and he can never ride again, so just please don't text.
Yeah,
My
please.
father-in-law got hit last week on his bike too.
Say that again?
My father-in-law got hit on his bike
Yeah.
last week too.
Scary.
I don't understand how binge where we're so bike, and everybody doesn't pay attention.
It's
Isn't
super
it a
important.
law to check your
Yeah.
phone, like if something happened? Because my best friend just got hit, she's 9 months pregnant, and she was driving, and a car just hit her in the back, and she had to sleep like 2 nights in the hospital because the belly went onto the...
Baby's okay
Yeah,
though?
yeah,
Baby's
she was
okay?
baby's okay. She was gonna pick up her older daughter, so it's not like she was doing anything bad. And there should be something, like an investigation, you know, that they can see.
Yeah, they did with my
that-
father-in-law.
that- yeah,
Definitely.
Like he was
had to cover
texting.
all of it.
Yeah.
And the problem is, that the problem, I agree, Marion, I agree wholeheartedly. I love it because they are trying to crack down. You have to realize how hard, you probably know how hard it would be to crack down on this. I mean, you have to watch all these cars now that have, cell phones are wonderful, but they also created a big issue that I don't think that Apple and Samsung and Microsoft were predicting would be as far-reaching as it is. I mean, and there's lots of reasons it's good. Lots of reasons that they're wonderful things, they're great tools. But of course now we have to worry about the distraction element. And I love the fact of doing the investigations. The problem is the investigation is not going to help a broken back.
No.
It doesn't make the broken back go away. Thank God the baby's okay, right? Thank God for that. But the idea, was that?
No, but it could be even worse in my high school, like my last 5 days of my senior year, 3 kids, they went to a concert, texting, they slid into the median and
And what you're hearing about, of course, are the worst case scenario, the outliers. You're hearing about the outliers, right? You're not hearing about the hundreds of thousands of trips that go off without a hitch because drivers are being responsible. It's kind of like why I hated Blackboard up until 5 days ago. All I was hearing about was Blackboard sucks, Blackboard sucks, Blackboard sucks, Blackboard sucks. I wasn't hearing the 98% of people that were like, Blackboard's fine. I'm getting a bias sample, as we are right now. But the idea of why I don't mind this bias sample is if it makes you more aware, and if you tell your friends, you spread that awareness. I don't mind looking at outliers if the end result is a bonus. Please, Anya.
I was just going to say ultimately, and it's true for drunk drivers too, and people who text while they drive, is that they really, really rarely end up hurting themselves.
Yeah.
They always end up hurting somebody else. And so
Yes.
it's like, even if you're willing to risk your own
Physically hurting themselves.
time, like I'm getting somewhere, I can just send a quick text message, even if you're willing to risk it for yourself, it's not worth a whole family,
No.
or a pregnant woman,
Right.
or somebody's back.
Exactly. No, it's not. Just pull off the side of the road and take care of it and then get back on the road.
We can wait. If it's a text, can wait. If it's an emergency, it will be a call.
And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here a little bit. I do. I appreciate that. But the idea is that so much can happen in such a short period of time behind the wheel of a vehicle. And that vehicle is a multi-ton machine moving at high speeds. Right, I'm going 29 miles an hour past 200 feet, right? If I hit somebody going 29 on my bike, I'm going to do damage to them a little bit. I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to piss them off. Well, first of all, I'm probably not going to hit them. I'm kind of a freaky biker. I can get out of the way really, really quickly. But if I hit a car on my bike going 29, how much damage am I going to do to that car?
No, hardly.
Hardly any. I'm going to damage myself by flipping over the hood. But if the car hits me, that's a totally different story, right? That's a totally different story.
I had a friend in Portland who was going down a hill in Goose Hollow on his bike, and the car had like pulled out and like stopped, and he ended up flying through their back seat.
Yes.
And landed in their back seat of the car.
Jesus. He's okay?
Yeah, he was fine.
That's such a
And he's
freaky,
never
wonderful
not
thing to
worn
have
a
happened.
helmet
It could have been so
ever
much worse, yes?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I say wonderful. It's the best possible outcome for that, short of not getting hit.
But yeah, he like landed in the back seat.
But now you have to realize, and thank God he's okay, and thank God baby's okay, but you have to realize for every one of those that we hear, 100,000 trips go by completely fine. But that doesn't make that one trip, as we know, not worrying about, not to worry about. We have to concern ourselves with that because all it takes is that one split-second decision. Recently, there was a YouTube video. I'm going to try to find a link for you guys and put on your extra resources today. About texting and driving and the accidents caused. They actually went and I think they followed 3 different accidents where somebody either died or was critically injured or died or permanently injured, and they went and found the people that actually did the texting, and they interviewed them, and they interviewed people that were victims, and then they got them to meet each other at the end of the movie. You know, after the lawsuits had fallen and stuff like that. Some people did die. Some people are not confined to wheelchairs. But Anya, what you said about they don't get hurt, not physically, but listening to these people, what they've gone through mentally after knowing you've killed someone or you've hurt someone. I mean, it happened in Bend, what, 2 year ago, 3 years ago, on Reed Market Road. Dude was texting the girl sitting next to him in the car. Crossed the median, hit a kid biker going. Unfortunately, the kid was on the wrong side of the road biking. That's no reason to die. He hit some kid. He just drifted off the road because he was texting the one sitting next to him. Hit the kid, killed him instantly. That guy has to live with that now, forever. And that's not, who said it's not worth it? You just pull over. Who said that just right now? It's not, the text isn't worth it, pull over. Mary, was it you? Yeah, it's not worth it. Pull over, deal with it, right? I mean, I'm not saying your life isn't worth texting. You do it. It might be like get the groceries or we're out of baby form, we need diapers. That's totally worth doing. But pull over the side of the road and text that way, yes?
Look for bikes first before you pull over.
Yeah, that's, don't put that I'm saying. But let's go ahead and say it anyway, why not?
Down Reed Market Road without being given help.
What's that?
Now none of us can drive down that road without having to take a million detours.
Oh, that's because of construction.
Well, they redid it though because of that. I heard.
Oh, is that why? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was already in the books. Okay. I don't know. Ben's got some traffic issues to deal with if they continue to grow.